Hey Crafty Mavens, it's Kelly and I am here today with Tina Gale and we are on Twerk It Thursday. Right now you're taking a peek at the sketch that Tina and I both used and the inspiration piece I posted before. And I'm just doing a thumbs down there. That was my son's phone that he cracked the screen on. So I love the blue in the inspiration piece, and if you have watched my channel, you have heard me already talk about how much I love the September hip kit. So it was a no-brainer for me to just go ahead and pick out some of those pieces and use them for this layout as well. And some of the things that I did to change the sketch up a little bit is the border was on the left hand side of the page, and I twisted it down to the bottom, and instead of 2 photos I used 1. So when you're doing a sketch, there's no rules, there's nothing to say that you have to use the sketch as you see it, and there's nothing to say that you have to use the same number of photographs. It is just like a jumping off point. It's something just to inspire you. So don't ever feel intimidated like, the sketch is telling you what you have to do. It's just like suggestions. And I find that if I use a sketch when I am lacking some mojo, it usually helps. So I am layering up pieces like the sketch did have on the side. And right now I am crushing on white texture. So I took this stencil and I chose a geometric pattern because a couple of the Amy Tangerine papers have it as well. And if I were thinking, I wouldn't have done this lower right hand corner because the paper covers it up. So while I'm waiting for my texture paste to dry, I'm just looking through some of these Amy Tangerine rub-ons and some of the ephemera I had pulled, just to kind of see how my layout was going to go. With this one, I wasn't, I had the sketch to look at, but I still don't really plan out my layouts. I like to let them come together and have a life of their own. I can be just a little bit sarcastic, and when I saw that Amy Tangerine die cut that says, well, isn't that just lovely? I knew right away that I had to use it. It doesn't really match the colors too well, but I didn't care. If I didn't use it on this page, it probably wouldn't have been used. And so what I decided to do is I was going to have my title, to be saying really, because, it's just crazy. It actually was not just this phone. He lost a phone on a roller coaster 2 weeks before he busted the screen on this one. So, yeah. What can you say other than he was so upset that he wouldn't tell me that he busted the screen on the second one. He told his dad. I think he was afraid I was going to have, off with his head. Yeah. So anyway, I decided I want to go ahead and get some of these pieces down on my layout. It drives me bonkers when some of the things that I know I want on the layout are moving around. And so for me, it's just better just to go ahead and stick some of them down and then just play around and work with things then. So at this point, I have not changed my title yet. The really is going to go away, and I'm going to actually put not underneath the isn't that lovely, because I just thought the sarcasm was perfect, and I still can't believe that that child did that. So yeah, about the phone. It was his first phone that he lost on the roller coaster, and he was very upset, but tried to blame it on the fact that the ride he didn't realize would be going so fast, and he's not sure how it came out of his pocket, and blah 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 was all I heard, making an excuse. So he paid for half of the phone, and then when he got this one in, he had to take it to band camp without waiting for the protective cover. And both his dad and I warned him, stupid idea. He did it, and some kid threw something and it hit his backpack, which cracked a screen. You know, kids are playing around. Yeah. So I decided to pop up the title because that definitely needed to have some emphasis. And I used some of the Amy Tangerine rub-ons on paper. And, you know, the white rub-ons for me are just a little bit more difficult to use. So if you put them on paper or something that's darker, it just makes it easier. And you don't have to worry about, you know, putting it directly on the page and not quite liking it. So at this point, I'm still trying to figure out where I want things, and it's going to end up being a very heavy word layout, which I generally don't do, but all of these words work well together, you know, between the totally and then the unbelievable and brilliant. Again, the sarcastic little tendency has to come out, and then, you know, the die cut with the title. So I have this Amy Tangerine washi tape, and I really wanted to see if I could get a bunch of it on this page. And spoiler alert here, I actually get that zebra on this page. If you guys don't watch my channel or know me, I have a really hard time putting things that are just seemingly random on my page. I like my embellishments and, you know, the things that I'm using to make sense on the page. And, you know, when I'm looking at this washi strip and moving stuff around, and, you know, I like to have things in a triangle and let your eye go across the page. I realized I'm looking and I'm like, you know, those zebras would be perfect because it's just something totally random. It's something totally not expected. And, you know, I mean, nobody's expecting you to destroy 2 phones. So when I worked that in, I was just pleased as punch with myself. So I put the tag behind the photo, and that tag had a phrase on it that I would just never use. I think it was something about life is short, don't be lazy. And, you know, that was just something I was like, I have no idea where I would ever be able to get that on. So I have no problem hiding things with sayings if I can, you know, use them in a way that I'd like. And I do have, you know, before I go on much further, I want to let you know that I did add a couple of things after the page was done. Sometimes I have a hard time just letting a page sit. So be sure and take a peek at my close-ups at the end, and you will see it's just a few rub-ons that I added for the most part, and then you can see my journaling. And I also put a little subtitle. But in the journaling, it describes you know, what went on with the phone, and, you know, the fact that he paid for half the phone, and, you know, just those things that you might forget some of the details later on, but he definitely won't. So at this point, I'm finally liking the way that the page is going. It, you know, definitely had a twist of its own. The top strip of paper that I put was not on the sketch, but I really felt like it needed to have something on top to ground, well, not to ground it, but to contain it. The large strip at the bottom to me felt very heavy. I pulled a freckle fawn arrow out of my stash as well, and that just points right to the cracked screen. Usually I like to have something else clustered behind arrows, or, you know, in that like section, but I really couldn't figure out how else to do it, and I just decided it was too perfect. It was going to stay, and to you know, just give up that little part that I'm trying to do. So the last thing I'm doing is just putting some thin twine in the tag and sprinkling some mist. Thanks so much, and remember the close-ups have the little details that I added after I finished recording. Thanks so much. Talk to you later. Bye.